Ah yes, the world we live in. It's finally becoming clear to me how all this stuff works. Life has never been better for humans than it is today in 2020. I mean, it's obvious. Even the middle classes have creature comforts like air conditioning, fast transportation, prepared meals, streaming media, online porn. Life has never been better. What a time to be alive. But there is one problem. One so new it's hardly yet been diagnosed, but I'm here to tell you what's what. We have a global investment glut all around the world. Yes, you heard right. Doesn't sound like a problem, but it is. A savings glut. People are simply saving too much, and in aggregate, there's too much investment money lying about chasing too few investment opportunities. I mean, how else can you explain how the company Apple can be worth $1.423 trillion US? I mean, it's a nice company, yes, and I own them in my portfolio, and so should you. But it trades at a new all-time high like every other day. Turns out, not only does everybody want to own the Apple iPhone, everybody wants to own the Apple shares too. Creates a problem. And how else can you explain why a dinosaur company, a ridiculous company like Saudi Aramco, from a thoroughly loathsome country, Saudi Arabia, got snapped up by investors when it listed late last year on the Tadawul Saudi stock market? It's got a market value of over $2 trillion today. Ridiculous, absurd. But the much more obvious examples of investment gluttism, I don't know, gluttishness, gluttony, come from the bond market. Yes, the bond market, particularly the sovereign bond market. I mean, who in their right minds today would buy bonds issued by governments? And yet they do. Asset managers running your pension funds from all around the world go rushing about, lapping them up, like dogs rushing around the park, having a go eating other dogs' turds. What an image. It's hilarious. In the United States, 10-year Treasury bonds currently yield around 1.6% per annum, which is just pathetic. This is a country that's running huge deficits. The US government cut taxes for businesses while increasing spending on their military. So they're running like $1 trillion US deficits. No problem, say the fund managers. We'll have another wheelbarrow full of those. Back it up and load them up. I mean, thanks to all that government spending, it's been massively supportive of the economy. Americans are finally recovering from the mental damage of the global financial crisis of 08-09. So they'll probably re-elect Trump, who, by the way, figured out long ago that no one cares about the fiscal deficit. That genie is well and truly out of the bottle and flown away. Not only do citizens not care about the fiscal deficit, the bond market doesn't even care either. Wow, a glut of epic proportions. Eat him up. And here's another example of the world's current state of saving gluttism, the greedy gluttiness of Greece. Greece, yes. Greece, which has always been an absolute basket case over the last decades, always being bailed out, always defaulting. I mean, in 2013, or whenever it was, bailed out again by the ECB and the IMF. Now, just a few years later, everyone wants to buy sovereign Greek bonds, like right now. The yields on those just went below 1%. 1%. So European pension savers are so horny for positive returns that they'll give money to the Greeks for 10 years and are prepared to do so only getting 1% as a reward for taking on that risk. Wow, that's absurd. And even countries like Argentina, Lebanon, and others going through meltdowns right now are still able to access international credit markets. As an aside, I see the Argentine Treasury today saying that they have a strong will to pay debt, but don't have the current capacity. Wow, that's golden. They'd really like to pay their rent this month, but just don't have the coin. What about South Africa? Yeah, here we've got a glut of private and public sector pensions too, which is attracting an unfortunate amount of attention from our thieving politicians. Our useless government that cannot stop bailing out state-owned enterprises assumes that they can cover the shortfall that will arise by selling more RSA Treasury bonds to stupid investors. That's why they want to use the pension money to bail out Eskom. Here in this country, of course, the investment glut on the one side of the equation is severely compounded by the fact that Regulation 28 of the Pension Funds Act only allows said pension funds to invest 30% in offshore assets and 75% in equities, leaving a big, fat, juicy allocation to stuff full of the government's crappy bonds. We can only hope they don't make the situation worse. Of course, the South African government has a spending problem and a severe tax collection problem right now too, because the economy is weak. I'm telling you, the budget speech at the end of February is going to be an absolute shit show. I can see the Minister Mboweni and his worn-out shoes in my head already. Speaking of Mboweni, you know the old joke. He's been spotted in Cape Town. The weather there is so bad, he's got his hands in his own pockets. Actually, that's just a joke. Cape Town's weather currently is absolutely lovely. You know what they say about taxes. What's the difference between a SARS official and a mosquito? The one is a blood-sucking parasite and the other one is an insect.